Good morning to all. My name is Patrick Dennan. I'm a library assistant in the Cregan Library, DCU. The following is a brief overview of how the Cregan and O'Reilly libraries continue to provide services during the pandemic, even if it was from a distance or through masks and screens. My colleague Grace will then speak about social media platforms and other initiatives. Next slide, please, Grace. So, Friday the 13th of March 2020, libraries close. What had been a distant threat from Wuhan was now in our faces. Both libraries closed on Friday the 13th. Unlucky for all. It was strangely akin to the first day of the January sales and Armageddon. Empty shelves and uncertainty, a bit like Poland as the Iron Curtain fell. The main priority on that day was to make sure students had all the books they needed. When would we reopen? And how would we get our books back? And the next slide, Grace, please. Services, very briefly. The click and collect service was so popular that we ran out of space. We had no shelves to put the orders in. Users were encouraged and then gently nudged to pick up their books. In a previous world, it took about 20 seconds to issue a book. In our new reality, it could take up to 20 minutes. We inherited some lovely new spreadsheets and a whole host of email templates to cover any and every eventuality. The new scan and send service did take some pressure off. The Book a Seat service brought our students back into the library. They told us how crucial the study spaces were for them and how much they missed coming to the university and how much they missed each other. All the postal schemes introduced throughout the pandemic were very much appreciated. The pick and post was available throughout Ireland. These schemes were time-consuming and expensive from a university point of view. All fines were waived throughout the pandemic. And yes, there were more lovely spreadsheets and emails. But we were getting our books back. And the next slide, Grace, please. Full-blown postal scheme disorder. When all the new services were up and running and exams were approaching, we also opened up 2 late nights per week until 10 p.m. Things were getting a little hectic. One day, behind the issue desk, a member of staff took to her feet and waving her arms exclaimed, "That's it. I've had enough. I'm done with this pick and mix." It turns out she had full-blown postal scheme disorder. PSD occurs when acronyms, spreadsheets, emails, and all kinds of everything get jumbled in your head. Flicking between screens can set it off. You might suddenly forget who you were or what you were doing. On your screens now are the images from 2 brain scans, both issue desk personnel. PSD is highly contagious. There is no vaccine, but there is a cure. A cup of coffee, but no hugs. And the next screen, Grace, please. Student feedback. One positive that came from our reduced capacity during the pandemic was that we got to know our regular users very well. This turned out to be an invaluable extra layer to customer service. The more we knew our students, the more we understood their needs. And the next one, Grace, please. Staff in both libraries received lovely gifts. This really meant a lot to us. This homemade Dutch apple pie and a wonderful handmade card were presented to us by 2 Dutch students who booked seats every day and availed of the click and collect service. A student whose seat was booked through the access office, meaning that she was guaranteed a study space every day, she thanked us every day and presented us with lovely chocolates on her last day. It occurred to me we received more gifts this year than any other year, which was quite strange when we were offering less services in restricted ways. Next slide, Grace, please. Some strange stuff. The most random thing we received in the post was a TV wall bracket. We still have it, but who got our books? Investigations are ongoing. Other things included a cup coaster in a book and money taped to a book for a fine. even though all the fines were waived. 3 members of staff decided to raise spirits by singing a Christmas carol. So under the big Christmas tree in the foyer at the Cregan Library, we pushed big protective screens into place. Standing 2 meters apart behind the screens, we began singing. A huge crowd of about 5 slowly slipped away as we sang. Our colleagues remained giggling and distant behind the Berlin Wall issue deck screens. You could say it went down very well, a bit like the Titanic. Listen, thank you all very much for your attention, and I will now hand you over to my colleague, Grace.
Okay, thank you, Pat. I hope I'm coming in loud and clear. I'm going to briefly talk about how we reached our patrons via social media platforms and some other initiatives we were involved with during the pandemic. So unsurprisingly, in March 2020, we saw a big increase in our Twitter followers, and it's the kind of increase we usually only see at the start of semester 1. So obviously people began following us to stay up to date when we had to close the buildings. While we had always tried to be friendly and have fun with the platform, we really tried to increase our engagement during lockdown, as we knew this was one of the most effective ways we had to interact with our patrons remotely. In September 2019, we had joined Instagram, but it really wasn't until the pandemic that we began to utilize this platform in more engaging ways. So like Claire from UL said, you really missed your colleagues when you're working from home. So we were very keen on the social media team to get all DCU library staff involved in our online endeavors, and it really helped us feel connected. So one of the first things we did was we asked all staff to join in a Twitter thread about our new working from home colleagues, our pets. So this is really great, as though we had 4 asked library staff to join in with pictures. Other members of the DCU community joined in as well. And who doesn't want to see their Twitter feed full of pictures of pets? Even though I'm a Kerry woman, so that dog in the middle wearing the Dublin jersey was quite offensive to me. So we also attempted Book Face Friday, which is a hashtag where you find a book with a face on it and you try to match it to your own face and take a picture. And it's surprisingly difficult. So if you want good examples, check out that hashtag and don't look at ours. We also asked library staff to send us photos of their bookshelves at home, and then we shared them with the hashtag Shelfies. And it was really nice, a peek into what do library staff have on their bookshelves. And one nameless colleague courted controversy with how they had shelved some crime books. For Poetry Ireland Day last year, we posted some book spine poetry. So this is when you stack your books so the titles can make a poem. And on Instagram, we posted a carousel of our best attempts. But what was really nice on Twitter was unprompted, other followers joined in and posted their own book spine poems. So on February 25th, DCU Library got involved in the Healthy Ireland initiative, Ireland Reads, which is a new National Day of Reading. And throughout the day, we posted short videos of staff from across different faculties and departments reading short poems and prose. And that event then led into that evening's first DCU Virtual Book Club online event, which was a Q&A session with Kevin Barry. So the DCU Virtual Book Club is an initiative developed by the DCU Cultural Arts Office in partnership with DCU HR and the library. And from February until May 2021, DCU hosted a virtual monthly book club for our staff community. And these events were Q&A sessions via Zoom with the author of that month's book club book. Over 300 staff members signed up online and engaged in really lively discussions with the likes of Anne Enright, Kevin Barry, Ronan Hessian, the list goes on. So these events are managed by DCU Arts and Culture, and the library offers support. We order copies of the books for the library for members to borrow. We run monthly competitions via the website for signed copies of the books, and we set up a Facebook group for the members, and they can discuss the book here, share relevant articles. It's really just the book club space online. And we received really great feedback from staff. I think they were very grateful for a novel way to engage during all of this, and a lot of them are really excited for this to continue next semester. So the book club was a really great way to engage with staff remotely, and we found one of the best ways to engage with our student population was via memes. So if you want a good example of Twitter accounts that use memes extremely effectively, I highly recommend TG Cahir. They are just absolutely bang on when it comes to trending memes. And then for more library specific, you probably all know and follow Orkney Library already, but if you don't, definitely check them out. The world of memes can be really quite daunting because it's really hard to find the right balance without feeling a little bit. So this is going to be the last thing I talk about, and we can just laugh and cringe at our attempts to be cool. We always try to find relevant and trending memes, and we try to make ourselves the butt of the joke and keep it light and not mean-spirited. So this was one of my first attempts. Way back in, I think it was April or May, students were very concerned about how they were going to get their books back, and we just wanted to send the message, don't attempt to come back to campus, just hang on to your books. And this went down really well with the student population, and I think it encouraged us to keep trying with our memes, and so we did. So do you remember back when everyone was watching Tiger King? This seems so long ago now, but this started trending online, and it fit in really well with the start of our first book return postal scheme, which we were sending out prepaid envelopes for students to post back their books, which was going to be a very costly endeavor. So they fitted nicely. I think we were one of the first to tweet with Bernie in front of our library, putting Bernie anywhere. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this was actually really easy to do because someone had set up a website where you could put Bernie anywhere, and all you needed were Google map coordinates. And thankfully, Craigan Library, one of our libraries, is road facing, so we could plonk them down there in front of it. And I think people really enjoyed it. So we also used memes to try and combat some issues we were having with our new services. So for example, Pat mentioned our click and collect service and running out of shelf space for all the reserved books. And a big problem was students reserving their books and then never collecting them. So we tried to use our memes to get the message across without feeling too much like you're giving out to them. I think it's an effective tool as well for engaging with students that way. It just shows memes can do more than just provide comic relief. They really help spread messages effectively. I think they've kind of become like the language of the internet almost. And we've definitely had a lot of fun trying to be creative and think up ways to use them. And I think the students really enjoy them too. So I don't know, did library management get a chance to look at that tweet? Overall, though, I think it's been obviously a really challenging time. But I think not just from what myself and Pat are talking about, but from what everyone has said today, it's just shown us that you can find ways to be more creative. And I think it's reminded everyone, especially our patrons, the library is more than just a building that you go to. It's, you know, a wider community than that. And thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, we'd like that, but we'd like you to share your stories and anecdotes from this time as well. So thank you.